This is the bond order and paperwork for cryptocurrency entrepreneur Sam Bankman-Fried, who was released today on a bond, a $250 million bond. I'm Molly. I'm a federal criminal defense lawyer, an adjunct law professor, and occasionally a legal analyst on TV. I know a lot of people are saying things like, how can Sam Bankman-Fried be given this $250 million bond when we have people in pretrial detention who can't afford to make a $200 bond because they're poor, but who did things far less serious, right? So bond in federal court is totally different, okay? It's governed by the Bail Reform Act of 1984 that was then codified into law, 18 United States Code, section 3142. So under the law and under the Bail Reform Act, the judge cannot set a bond that won't result in your release. The judge can't set a bond that you can't afford. That's different than in state courts. So in federal court, either you get a bond and you get out, or you don't get a bond and you stay in pretrial custody. And Sam Bankman-Fried didn't have to pay $250 million to get out of custody. He agreed to forfeit his parents' home in Palo Alto, California, should he jump bail. So his bond was secured not by money, but by property, his parents' house. And he has a lot of conditions, strict conditions of release, including home detention. So he's on an ankle monitor and he cannot leave his home, his parents' home, except for under very limited circumstances. Interestingly, the government, the prosecutors, agreed to this bond rather than making a motion for his detention. In part, that was because he waived extradition proceedings, which could have dragged this on a lot longer, which the government didn't want. And despite currently being out of custody, he is facing an extremely long sentence because sentences for these types of fraud and conspiracy charges in federal court are tied to the loss amount, the fraud amount. So when you're talking about a fraud in the billions, the sentencing exposure is very high. But for the time being, he will be living at his parents' home in Palo Alto, California. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you know this, but both of his parents happen to be law professors.